to the cloud. Okay, all right. Hopefully that's going to work. All right, yes, so hello everybody and welcome. As I said, today we are going to be talking about using MS Forms. So, because at the university we have a subscription to a thing that's called Office 365, so it's a way that Microsoft are releasing new tools and bits and bobs to us, and we do that through the online Outlook. So if you go into online Outlook, you'll find there's a whole bunch of tools and things up there. One of those is MS Forms. And we can use that to create quizzes and surveys if you have fairly simple needs. It's not as comprehensive a tool as something like, some of you may be aware of something like SurveyMonkey. However, it is free and it's pretty easy to use. So without further ado, let's have a look at it. I'm just going to turn my video off so that you don't see me staring at my keyboard. There we go. All right. So let's get started on this. If you come into log into your Office 365, so maybe on the home page of the university, you can go through and say, I want to log on to my webmail. I'm just going to log on as the IT training account. You'll go into this place, you put in your normal ID and password. It's going to take me into Outlook. And then you'll see you've got this little square here. So this square in the corner with these little squares on it. If I click on that, that shows me all of these sort of tools I'm talking about, and they release new ones quite often. So here we've got things like your mail and your calendar. Sway, which is sort of an online presentation tool, if you like. It's a way that you can add in texts and videos and make them quite and pictures and things and tell stories through Sway. It's quite a good little tool. We've got Forms, we've got Planner, People, Tasks, Newsfeed, all sorts of stuff in here. Today we are going to be looking at Forms. Okay. Now, one of the things that happens with these online tools is they update them quite often. So when I came in to have a look at this morning, I actually found a few new things which I'll be showing to you today. So it's always worth coming having a look to see what is new. So from here, this is my forms. So here's some forms that I've created earlier. Okay, so I've got here one for an evaluation for the pivot tables. You can see I've got 13 responses to that one. This one we haven't released yet, so we've got none, and then we've got the workshop evaluation form with 77 different responses on it. Okay, so those are the ones that I already have. So I can come in here with my workshop evaluations for the analyzing data with pivot tables in Excel. If I click on that, it comes in here, and I can see from here all of the questions that I have. Okay, so that's all of the questions that are in this particular one, and you'll see that I've got a choice here to add a question. I've also got the ability here to look at responses. So I can see of the 13 responses, I can have a look at them through here. Yeah, and I've got some pretty graphs, and then I've got quite a lot of text entries and things like that. Now, when I've got something here, anyway, you see I've only had 5 responses to that. I can click on more details, and I can see the exact responses that I have for that one. But what I can also do from here is, let's go back up to the top. I can also delete the responses and sort of start again. I can print a summary. I can actually open this in Excel as well. So any responses that I have, I can open up here. Just enable editing for a moment. And then I can do things like well, it's now in Excel, so I can pivot it, I can analyze it in any way that I want. If I do something like wrap all the text, that just makes some of these text-based responses easier to see. And there we go, I've got all of those there, and I can do what I wish with those. Okay. Now, other things that I can do here, so that's my questions and my responses. You'll notice I've also got a little tab along here. So I've got I'm just going to get rid of that. It's quite annoying, isn't it? There you go, got it. And I can come here and I can preview. So this shows me what this survey will look like to somebody who's going to be filling it in. So that shows me what it looks like on a computer. So I can just check that I'm happy with it. And then I can also check what would it look like to somebody who is filling this in on their mobile device. From here, I can also select a theme. So you can see that we've picked this theme, but I can change that theme if I want to, and I'll show you that a little bit. I'm not going to do that on one of my live ones. I'll show you that later. I've also got here the ability to share, and I'll talk about that a little bit when actually showing how you to build one of these surveys. That's how you share. I also have anywhere where you see 3 dots, remember, that means there are more options. So I can go in here and I can change my settings. I've got my branching there. So these are the sort of things that are to do with forms. These ones at the bottom are more to do with generally being in this Office 365 environment. Okay, so let's just go back and I'll show you how to build one of these things. It's fairly straightforward. So you'll see here I've got new form or new quiz. Now, the new form and new quiz are essentially the same, apart from in a quiz you can mark things as correct and you can also score it. Okay, so we'll have a look at that after we've had a look at a form. So from here I've got my new form. It's untitled at the moment, so I can say how awesome are webinars. Okay, I can enter a description. This is a quick survey to find out what think of webinars. Okay, anything you want you can add in there. I've then got an ability to add a picture, so I can insert an image there. So I can either do an online search using Bing. If I've got anything stored in my OneDrive, I can use my OneDrive, or I can upload it as well. So if I want to go and upload from something as a picture of a formula, not sure why I have that there, but I do. There we go. And that's just going to upload that there. Okay. And I can go in and I can edit that, or I can delete it. Let's have a look at the fun stuff though now. Let's have a look at adding in a question. So there are different question types I've got. I've got a choice, so that's a multiple choice. I've got a text, so that would be where somebody, I'm asking people to give me a text response. We've got a rating, so that's sort of a mark out of a certain number. We've got a date as well, so we can ask people to submit a date. And again, remember, 3 little dots means there's more. For some reason, there's only one more thing under that, and that's ranking. So let's have a look at these in turn. So here we've got a choice. So what do you think of webinars? So here I've got my options, so I can come in here and I can say they are awesome. They are okay. I can add an option, or I can add other options. So here we go, add option. They smell are worthless. Okay, so again, I can do whatever I want, and I can add in here, add an other. So that would then allow, so if I add in other, that means people can just select that, you know, other than those things. I think other things. I can have multiple answers, so that would allow people to respond with multiple answers. I can say no, they can only respond with one. And I can make this required or not required. So that's where I can make this a mandatory question or a non-mandatory question. Remember 3 little dots, what are my more options? So I can subtitle that and I can shuffle the options. So that would mean, particularly if you're doing something like a quiz, you may want to shuffle these so they don't look so ordered. Okay, so from here I can do things like I can copy this question. So if you've got a similar question, particularly if you're doing something like a Likert scale, you can just copy the question, which means that all your answers will remain there, but you can then, you know, just change the question or what have you. I can also move this about. I can delete it, and I can add an image as well. So if you wanted to, there's all sorts of things you could do with adding an image. You know, you could put something up and say, you know, what surprises you about this, or if you wanted to go into more detail or something like that. So different ways that you can insert that media there. So that's image or video you can put in there. Okay, let's add a different sort of question. So with a text question, say, please expand on your answer above. There we go. And then people can answer that. So it can be a long answer or not. And that's just about how much space does somebody have to fill in their answer. And again, is it mandatory or not? And again, don't want to do subtitle. I've also got the ability there to add restrictions. So I can say that it has to be a certain type of response there. Okay. Let's just turn off restrictions. Okay, let's add another sort. So I can add in a rating. So I can say, you know, it's mark it out of 5 or 10. I can have it as a number, or I can have it as stars, and so on. What have I got there? Oh, I've got labels. So I can say 1 star is bad. Okay, why don't we stick with what we were talking about earlier? 1 star is worthless. 1 star is awesome. So question. What do you think of webinars? Okay. All right. And then let's add another question. So we can add a date. So when did you last attend a webinar? And again, is it required or not? And do I want to add a subtitle to that? And nothing much I can do with that. They're just going to add that in there. Add a question. So that final one was a ranking. So with the rankings, I can just put in here. Oh, I'm running out of imagination, people. I'm just going to call that question 1, and I'm going to say option. I'm going to leave it as that. Add an option 4. There we go. All right. Now I also now have the ability to move these up and down. So you can see I've now got an up arrow, and if I come into this question here, I've got an up and a down. So that's how we would move those, change them. Okay. All right. So let's just have a preview of this. Okay. So you'll see that this is what it looks like at the moment. And this is what it would look like to somebody. Yeah. So you can see, oh, I got to play with what it would feel like if someone was actually answering it. Okay. All right. So I've built my basic questions. Other things that I can do here is I can change the theme. So I can say I want it to be pink. Okay. And now if I preview it, it looks a bit more pink. I can also do things like I can use one of the inbuilt themes. There we go, sort of a cityscape there, and we've got, what's that? So somebody surfing, oh no, snowboarding, and we've got outer space. What's this? It's all computers and stuff. And I can also add in my own image as well. Okay. So that was that background image. Remember, we can have an image here. We can have an image on each question as well. Okay. I want to go with the underwater theme. I like that one. All right, so then we come to our share options. So it says here I can send and collect responses. This is only people in my organization can respond. So what that means is anybody with only people with an edu, adelaide.edu.au account can respond. Or I can say anyone with the link. So if you want to send it to people out out with the organization, then you can go and have a look at that. You can use that one instead. There you see it says sign in is not required, and with that one a sign in is required. Okay. Now I can either send that as a link, so I've got a link there and I can just then copy that. I can create a QR code. So the QR codes is a way that, you know, if you wanted to, you could put this link to this survey on a poster or on postcards or something like that. So you could put those up around the uni or something. So those QR codes, then someone can point a QR reader at them and it will take them straight to the quiz, save them having to use the URL. You can also then get an embed code, so you can put this onto a website, and then it's an embed code, so it would be within the be within your website, or you can click on that one. That's going to create an email. So it's just opening up an email, and there you go. It's got that, and I can now amend that if I want to. Okay. All right. Now, I can also, so that's how to send and collect responses. I can also share this as a template. So I can say, hey, I've built this awesome survey, people, hey, who else wants to use it? And then I can get a link there to duplicate that. Okay, so that's going to duplicate that. I can also get a share to collaborate. So that's the share as a template, so I'm just giving it to somebody. But this share to collaborate would mean that someone would be able to view it and they can also edit it as well. So I can click on that one. It's going to give me a different sort of link. And again, then I've got that copy there. All right. Okay, so more options from here. I'm going to come back to branching. I'm going to go to settings now. So in settings, I've got here who can fill out this form. So anyone with a link can respond, and then that's people only within my organization. So that's just the same as we had a little bit before. And then I've got this recording their name. So I can make it anonymous or not. And I can also say people can only respond once, or I can let them respond more than once. Okay, so options for responses is, yeah, I can accept them. I can put in a start date and an end date onto these ones. I can say just shuffle all the questions, or I can lock particular questions and only shuffle some of them. And I can email notification of each response. That means every time somebody responded, I would get an email notification. Yeah, I don't know that I really want that. Okay, all right. So those are all those. Remember that where every three spots, it means that there is more stuff going on. So that was in that settings. Now I have this branching here as well. Okay, so from branching, what this is about is, let's say I had a question in my survey, and depending on the answer to that, they needed to do, you know, when you fill in those government forms and it said, oh, if if the answer is no, move to section 7, and if the answer is yes, move to section 8, those sorts of things. So you can actually do that with these forms. So if somebody would say, what do you think of webinars, and that they are awesome, I could say, well, go straight to this other question. Yep. Or, at this point, just go to the end of the form. So that would just mean that they wouldn't necessarily see all of the survey questions. You would only be putting questions in front of people that were actually relevant to them. So I think there's a great deal of potential that you can do with that. And that's a new feature. I'm quite excited by that. Okay, so you have branching options. All right. Yeah, so now if we preview this, there you go, it's all looking pretty pretty. Excellent, I can see how I can move those around and how I can rate that, and how I can go in and pick a date there, and I can pick that, and I can just go, yeah, big cars, and so on. Okay. Now that form now appears here. We can see that we've not started that, so I haven't actually sent it out to anybody yet, so I can see that is still there. Again, I've got these more options here, so I can create a copy of that entire survey, or I can delete it. Okay, that is up to me. Okay. Right, let's just have a quick look at quizzes and what the differences are. So in the quizzes, when I go to add a question, let's say I add a multiple choice, you see here I actually have points. So I can give points to things, and I can make this, oh, math, that's new. So I can make it into, he's entered an equation for this option. So here we go. There are different sorts of options available here. That often being a math one. Yep, and I can actually give, as I say, we can give points on that one. Oops, did I tick the wrong thing? No. Okay, so then if I add in something like a text response, we can put in the correct answer in there as well, adding questions. What else have I got? I've got my rankings. So again, I can add points and add options as well. So it's very similar to the form, the survey, but it just means that you've got the ability then to actually mark these as well. All right. Okay. Now, with that quiz, I can come in here and I can just say, I want to delete that one, and I can delete that, and then it's gone. Okay. So that's really everything that I wanted to show you around forms. I've got options there. Yeah, so that's just those general options. So I can't resist. Anywhere I see 3 little dots, I have to click it to see what's there. So that's just generally about giving feedback to Microsoft on these forms. I'm getting some help with them. That's who I'm logged in as, and that's my ability to then sign out. Okay. As I say, with forms, all you need to do is you just log in to your web app. So you just log into the Outlook web app and you click on these little squares here, which is the Office app switcher, and that shows you all of the different things that we've got, and it sits under there. And then from here, you can just come into new forms, new quiz, you can see things, go in and look at your surveys and look at the results. Any questions? Okay, while I'm waiting to see if anybody is desperately typing a question, I can't see any questions in there. Let me just launch the launch my evaluation. Oh, no, I do have a question. Hang on, let me just go back to the questions. Okay. Oh, what can you find in other forms? Very good question. So this other forms would be if someone has shared forms with you. So no one's shared any forms with me, but if somebody does, that's where it will turn up. Okay. Can you make a 2-page form? No, so the forms will just be really long from that one. So yeah, it is, as I say, that it's just going to be a really long form. Okay. But what you can do, if it is a very long form, then you might want to think about that branching, and are there some questions that people wouldn't necessarily need to answer? Well, now that's an interesting question. I wonder if you create a branching one, how it actually appears. Why don't we go in and have a look if we can figure that out for a moment. So if I come in here, oh, that was the right, where is it? It's here, it's branching, isn't it? So let's say that one, let's say that each of these branches off. Oh no, don't go to question 1, you are question 1. Okay. All right, let's just have a look at the preview of that now. Okay, so that's how you could do it. You could do it through branching. So if you wanted to create multiple pages of forms, you could do it through branching. And what you could do then is any answer to that one could just go on to the next question. So what I mean by that is where in that branching I was picking all different ones, is you could just say, like, say in here, you could say go to question 4. And this one is just go to next question. Let's change all these back to next question. Sorry, I did pick the one with all the multiple choice answers, didn't I? Here we go. Let's just change those all to next question. Next question. Let's go back. Let's preview that. Okay, so that's how you create a 2-page. Oh no, it's not actually worked. Ah, well, maybe that's something that will come later. Oh, the questions are piling up. Sorry. Let me just, let's have a look what we've got here. Is it only available to Outlook users? No, so you don't have to have Outlook installed on your, you don't have to have Outlook installed on your computer. So I know that the HDR students and our students don't necessarily have Outlook. All you need is an Outlook account though, and everybody at the university, so everybody with an A number has an Outlook account, and that's through that Office 365. So when you go to log on to the webmail, so that allows you to come into Office 365. So you can just log straight into Office 365, and that would that would take you to somewhere where you get this Office app or launcher, and then you can access all of these things. Oh, someone said thanks. You're welcome. You are very welcome. All right, let me just quickly launch my poll. And feel free to ask any other questions if anybody has any questions. Don't forget to let us know what you would like to see. So this webinar was done at someone's request. Someone was asking about surveys and how do you do them. So that's what prompted us to do this webinar today. So please do let us know what else you would like to see in these webinars. All right, I'm going to close that evaluation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everybody. Okay. All right. Well, if nobody has any more questions, we will call it a day for today, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. And we should hopefully, by the end of this week, we will have up the details of what the next set of webinars are going to be on. So please, if you have any ideas of anything you'd like to see, please let us know, and we will endeavour to accommodate.